Greetings from the fourth dimension. Gary Hughes here, coming to you live from Rocket Patrol HQ. I want to talk to you about the newly released 1/6 scale Rocketman figure featuring George Wallace as the Rocketman. Just recently released by Executive Replicas, Go Hero, and their partner factory, Phicen Ltd. This thing is absolutely nails. If you were a fan of the character, either King of the Rocketman or Commando Cody, Larry Martin, Zombies of the Stratosphere, or retro sci-fi in general, you're going to love this thing. I'm going to give you a very quick overview on what's included in the kit, and then I'm going to show you how I prepped my figure for display. Now this is something that I came up with on my own, the method that I'm going to illustrate here for you. So if you have any questions at all about how this was done, direct them to me, and we'll get you up to speed on it. Or if you have another method that you came up with that you think works better, by all means let me know. I also want to take just a minute and give a couple of shout outs to two gentlemen who gave a lot of reference on this one. That would be Bob Burns and Don Coleman. In fact, Don Coleman was instrumental in giving me all the reference information I needed about the nuances of the flying suit so that I could build my own full-size replica suit. So many thanks to both of those gentlemen for all their help on this one. Okay, without further ado, let's take a look at our boy here. This is basically what is included with the kit. Before I go into the individual components, I want to show you very quickly the packaging. It comes in a very nice, heavy keepsake cardboard box with a magnet and a tab on the side, and then all the individual components have their own little cutouts within the foam, so everything was packed very carefully, fit very nicely in here. So if you need to transport your figure or store him, you don't have to worry about anything getting squashed or damaged or anything like that. So very nicely done. I'm going to button this up and set it aside very quickly and show you the sleeve art. Really nice picture of the figure there, done by the factory. And on the back is a very brief overview of the character, which I was fortunate enough to be able to put together. Of course, Steve Ford at Go Hero had to pare it down a bit because I tend to run off at the mouth when I talk about my favorite childhood hero. So very nicely done. Very nicely done packaging. Okay, first of all, just pretty much a generic figure stand, and we'll talk a little bit later about how I worked with this to get my boy to stand up with the rocket pack on, which is fairly heavy, seeing as how it's die cast. A really nicely done die cast replica of the Cody ray cannon, just beautiful, really nicely done. Now, because it's a little bit on the heavy side, what I will probably do with mine is build the big tripod underneath that you saw on Radar Men from the Moon and just display him off to the side there, because he's a little too heavy for the armature of the figure to hold up. You also get a very nice scale replica of the Cody airship. Nice paint job, very well done, very clean. Not one, not two, but three guns. One is just a plain Luger, and the other two versions of the ray pistol from King of the Rocketman and later Radar Men from the Moon are both included. Very nice, very accurate, and again, they are die cast. Both the pistol and the nozzles and the accessory pieces are die cast. Inside the helmet originally, there was a liner that was riveted in to the helmet, and the actor would kind of tie it on like a bonnet. Because of the scale, they decided to go with a separate liner, and it's even got the, you can't see them probably, but even the tiny little vent holes in the top are there. The ties are on there. The helmet has gone through several revisions. Winston wanted to make sure that he got this as close as possible with regards to the overall shape, the bullet shape of the helmet, and then the visor, right down to the cutouts, the eye cutouts and then the mouth cutouts. Very well done. The rivet patterns on there. I'm not going to open it now because it's kind of time consuming and delicate, but there are thin plastic tabs on either side of the visor, and if you lift those up, the visor will swing open just like the original helmet. This little plastic piece here is designed to replicate the pad that they put on the helmet, first in Radar Men from the Moon and then later in Zombies of the Stratosphere. Mainly to hold the thing in shape so that he can lift it on and put it back on without having to open the visor, and also probably to get him ready for his excursion to the moon. So just beautifully done die cast helmet. The rocket pack also die cast. Look at the detailing, the screening on the intakes here, really nicely done. The back plate is contoured to fit the figure. The belt is absolutely gorgeous. The riveting is all correct, both at the hip here and the 4 rivets across the buckle. It includes the belt-mounted radio that was first shown in Radar Men from the Moon and later Zombies of the Stratosphere. Even the surplus military hook and latch buckle, which was modified, by the way, for the suit, is there, and it is functional as well. You can actually hook it on there and then snap it closed. So really, really nicely done. Leather belt, of course. You get multiple sets of hands, firing hands, flying hands, hands that would be used to hold up the ray gun or possibly hold up something else. So you have a lot of options as far as displaying. If you want to display him holding one of the ray pistols, you can do that. I mentioned before that the ray cannon is a little too heavy for him to hold up. You'd probably have to tack the joints on the armature firmly in place, or permanently in place, in order for him to be able to facilitate that. But at any rate, and now on to the figure itself. Absolutely nails. They really, really did a nice job on this. He's got the wingtip shoes, of course. The pants have the cuffs, and they're a little more like the 50s style, a little wider in the leg. The leather jacket is a work of art. The zipper is almost completely hidden, just like the original. It's got the ribbing on the cuffs here. And they even went in and lightly distressed the seam work to make it look as though it's a vintage piece. You can, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but every extremity, the seams here's got a little bit of distressing here. The chest piece is held in place by magnets. The dials turn. It says die cast also, by the way. All 3 dials turn, and the graphics, as tiny as they are, can clearly be read. They even went and took the time and slightly distressed the knobs here. Just like the original, the little indicator arrows are hand painted on both of them. That's exactly how the originals were done in all the versions of the flying suit. He's got pants, shoes, a white shirt, a tie underneath, and the jacket will zip all the way up, which you'll have to do if you're going to put the helmet on. And it's a very tight squeeze and a bit of a challenge. In fact, what you're going to probably have to do is pop the head off, zip everything up, put the helmet on, then put the head back on. The likeness of the sculpt was actually approved by George Wallace's widow. I mean, Winston went to a lot of effort to make sure that he got something that not only the fans would be with and could identify with, but something that Mrs. Wallace felt kind of represented George during the, the 1952 serial, and captured that look. So very, very nicely done. This is not a figure you're going to want to dress and undress and repose and rechange because of the delicate nature of a lot of the pieces. What you probably need to do is decide how you want to display him and just leave him like that, because the zippers and the little latch assemblies and things like that are rather delicate, so it's not something you're going to want to constantly be fiddling with. So that's basically an overview of everything that's included. I'm going to go ahead now and show you how I went about attaching the upper area of the rocket pack to the jacket and getting it set up on the display. Okay, I'm going to show you very quickly how I kind of beefed up the attachment for the chest plate, and then set up the attachment for the top of the rocket pack to the back of the jacket. Now, the figure that I received had a connection at the belt, but nothing on the top. In other words, if you look at it sideways, the pack just wanted to lean backwards like that. So what I did was used 3 different types of magnets. Now you can find these at either Michael's or Hobby Lobby or any other local store. Okay, the first type is they're small little magnet squares with adhesive on the back. Okay, I used one of those, and then 2 different sizes of craft magnets. These are the 12 millimeter size here, the larger ones, which I used on the back of the jacket, and then 2 of the 8 millimeter size here that went into the lining for the chest piece. Now, the jacket has magnets, small magnets, sewn into the front on either side, and then there are magnets in place on the back of the chest control piece. I found that with mine, the little magnets that were on the jacket didn't have quite enough power to hold it in place when you started to move the figure around. So what I did was to take 2 of these smaller 8 millimeter magnets, and if you peel back the jacket, you see the lining is open. It's just folded over and sewn. Here's one of the magnets here. I just slid it inside there. And you have to be very careful, because not only do these magnets want to move around, they want to stick to each other. Okay, so I've got an 8 millimeter magnet here, one here, slipped inside the lining. Then you zip up the jacket, take your chest piece, and pop it into place. Now, you're going to have to fudge a little bit with the actual location until you get it exactly the way you want it. But that's how I beefed up the magnets that were already in there. My cat has a nasty habit of getting into everything, but even if this should get knocked over off the stand, the chances are that the chest piece is not going to go anywhere. Okay, for the back of the jacket, and I have this magnet just temporarily in place here, I very carefully unzip the jacket, and this is a bit of a challenge. You take one of the larger 12 millimeter magnets, and you have to slip it down inside the back. Now you can tack that to the inside of the jacket with a little bit of contact cement if you want to. This jacket is so beautiful. I didn't want to do anything to possibly damage it. So mine is just floating around in there, just like the two magnets in front. Then what I did was to take one of my magnets with the adhesive on the back, cut it down a little bit smaller in size, and then snap that in place like so. And what that will do is to hold the upper part of the rocket pack in place so that when the figure stands, it won't fall over. Now, it's going to pull back on the jacket a little bit, and I'll show you that once I have him up on the stand. But aside from actually poking a hole in the jacket and drilling through something to the other side of the rocket pack, that's the only way I could come up with to get this to attach itself without damaging any of the leather work or the die cast. So okay, I'm going to go ahead and show you what he looks like up on the stand, and then you can see how the stand will support the rocket pack and hold him up. Okay, here we go. This is our boy set up for display. Now, as I mentioned before, you can display him with the helmet. The easiest way to do that is to zip the jacket up as far as it'll go, remove the head, put the helmet on, open the visor, put the head back on, and then fasten the two little very thin plastic tabs that are right here. This little pad could probably be tacked into place just to hold the spacing right there, because what happens is when you put the helmet on, it wants to fold up like that, because it is just it's a spring-loaded fit there. So if I were going to display him with a helmet, I would probably go in and tack those just to hold that little neck piece in place. So I'm going to turn him around sideways and show you what he looks like on the stand. Now, what I ended up doing, I'll show you real quick here. I took the stand and turned the vertical piece around 180 degrees and then hooked it underneath either side of the rocket pack. And that seems to me to be the best way to hold him up because of the weight of the die-cast rocket pack and the helmet too. He's going to want to tip over. Now you can see the jacket is pulling a little bit, or excuse me, the back plate is pulling a little bit on the jacket, but it's very minor. It's not anything you're going to really notice. You're going to have to put either some weight on top of the stand or epoxy this maybe onto something that's heavy enough to counterweight the figure. Otherwise, he's going to want to tip over forward. So I will probably, since I'm going to incorporate the ray cannon as part of the display, I will probably make some sort of just a permanent base and modify the stand somehow, or come up with a different vertical piece to hold him in place. But if you want to get him to stand up with the pieces that are included with the figure, this is probably the best way to do it. Now this looks like hell just having this 2.5 pound weight on here, but that's just for demonstration purposes only. The other piece of the stand here that I believe is designed to go around either the waist or one leg, I didn't use it all. Once you hook it underneath the pack, you should be good to go. So anyway, that's the figure, and again, experimenting with the magnets is going to take a little trial and error. Be patient, be delicate with both the leather and the die cast, because you can damage things very easily because of the small scale. As I mentioned before, things are very delicate. But that's basically how you get your board displayed. Okay. And there you have it, sports fans. The 1/6 scale Rocketman figure produced by Executive Replicas, Go Hero, and Phicen Ltd. I think you guys are really going to dig this one. It's been a long time coming. There was a lot of work on this one to get it as accurate as possible, and I think it's going to look great on your shelf. If you are interested in ordering one of these, you can do so by contacting the Executive Replicas website or the Go Hero website. And if you have any questions about how I put the magnets in the jacket and got the stand hooked up or anything like that, feel free to contact me on my Facebook page, Gary Hughes, or via the Rocket Patrol Facebook group. So until next time, watch the skies.